I've always been scared of the sea. It is technically the biggest desert in the planet, and we can't even stand on it. It is a place where we are at the mercy of the power of the waves, the wind, the cold. Water is a tough element to deal with. It makes our temperature drop 25 times faster than air. We can't breathe inside, and movements are 55 times harder than in the air. We get exhausted quicker, and we can't always float. At any time in the sea, we're seconds away from a deadly accident. I had my fair share of scares. Once, the wind pushed me sideways and the waves made me capsize. I thought I could stabilize myself with my oar on the ground. I got carried by the next wave onto the beach, and next thing I know, I dislocated my shoulder. Fast forward a few years, I still don't love the sea, but now, it's not that I fear it, but I understand it. Understanding my fear of the sea is one of the things that help me understand why, in society, we fear each other. I didn't grow up near the sea, and although I learned how to swim at school, all I experienced were calm and warm swimming pools. The sea was to me the big unknown. The vastness of it never attracted me. I never thought I would find myself on the water. Until my wife mentioned she prefers being on the water than on the mountains, so I looked into kayaking. I chose a two-seater kayak so I could take my wife and friends on trips on the water. I started on the Thames and on the canals, where the water is calm, and the most difficult challenge are the tides. Seeing London from the water is entering a wholly different universe. You can see cars, buses, traffic jams on the bridges, but on the water, everything is quiet. It is a surreal experience. I've done some boating before, but the relative safety of a boat is nothing compared to being alone on the water, facing the power of the sea. I realized that the coast was not too far from us, and that on that coast was a quiet beach with incredible views. That soon became our weekly escape. We associated the sea with summertime fun, when the sun is shining and the water is calm. Our spot fitted these expectations. The sea didn't seem scary. I felt immense joy getting into my wetsuit, launching my kayak, and paddling on the waves. It was enjoyable until the seasons changed, the sea became less forgiving, and I had my first accidents. I have good reason to fear the water, a biological one. Our brains contain an organ called the amygdala. It is part of what was called the reptilian brain and is the siege of our survival instincts. It is the siege of a key emotion for survival, fear. The amygdala is triggered by everything we encounter that is not only threatening but also is unknown, different, strange or foreign, so we can avoid it or destroy it. That's our flight or fight response, be it natural hazards, dangerous animals or even people. The amygdala that makes me fear the water is the same that makes us fear strangers, people from different cultures or different opinions. But our brain has developed an advanced faculty, the power to control our amygdala, to control our fear. We can tell our brain that not everything that is different, strange, foreign is either to be avoided or destroyed. But it can be understood and navigated. I always thought that the best thing about the sea is that you can avoid it. But it's easier said than done when you live on an island. So why do I go out of my comfort zone in the first place? Our survival instincts make us naturally reluctant to change. And we're looking for safety and stability. I love kayaking in the summer, in calm waters like the canals. So why would I leave this for the sea? There's a whole new universe once on the water. We see the land from a different perspective. We build a new relationship with the elements. And something about feeling safe in such a potential dangerous environment. There's a part of me that has a passion for understanding, learning and improving myself. And, well, I like a good challenge. But I am also aware that conditions can change. I can be thrown away from this comfort zone. I can be forced to deal with conditions I didn't want to face in the first place. And when they come, I better be prepared. So, how do I overcome my fear? The first key to hack my fear was to be prepared for the unexpected. My kayak has a limit. It cannot stay straight by more than 10 miles winds. And because I cannot do Eskimo rolls on that, when the wind and the waves reach certain levels, I know that I have to stay away from the water. A lot can be avoided by choosing the right conditions before start. But despite planning, we are not in control of the changing conditions or the unknown. Riding waves taller than you and your kayak is a bit scary at first. But with the right technique, it's manageable. Practicing any sport is about finding your limit. Then you have two options. Either you avoid getting to your limit or you try to push it. With kayaking, I've noticed that the more I practiced, the more confident I felt. The more challenges I faced, the easier they would become. But is it enough? A huge part of preparation is to practice equipment malfunction or loss. When I had my kayak accident, I had the right equipment for the conditions. But what was lacking was my recovery technique. I didn't practice enough with smaller waves and in the wind. I didn't practice enough capsizing and especially by the shore. An even greater part of this preparation is practicing staying calm. Most people, even good swimmers, drown because of something called the instinctive drowning response. It is something not controlled by the amygdala but our very basic autonomic nervous system. It's as natural as breathing. When struggling in the water, it makes the body stay vertical and flap the arms and try to breathe. The problem is, it paralyzes the legs and overrides rational thinking. It becomes very hard to control movements or even cry for help. That's why lifeguards always say, fight your instinct, not the water. To stay alive, it is necessary to override this instinct, lay on the back and make slow, controlled movements. When we are facing potentially threatening conditions, our natural inclination is to follow similar instincts that override rational thinking. The same goes with society. A lot of people don't want to get out of their comfort zone, and that's completely natural. So when change happens, many feel upset. However, while most of us are powerless in the water, society has the power to harm itself. When faced with differences, people get into this flight or fight response, and people fight each other instead of fighting their instinct. Many times in my life there were people I didn't trust, I avoided, or against which I had prejudices because of the media or what my parents or school taught me. People hurt me, and it would have been very easy for me to generalize and stay away from them, just like it would have been easy for me to stay away from the water. But just like I live on an island surrounded by the sea, and I live in a society where I am surrounded by all sorts of people. What kayaking and snorkeling taught me is that society is like the water. It requires understanding. Navigating the society requires the right tools. Just like when I assess the conditions of the sea by reading weather reports and observing, navigating society requires us to listen, observe, and analyze. And just like the sea requires me to wear a wetsuit, society requires intellectual and emotional tools. We cannot navigate an environment we don't understand. And this is perhaps one of the greatest gifts of humanity, that we have this ability to observe, listen, learn, understand, analyze. So even when the conditions are challenging, we can stay afloat, navigate, and explore new horizons.